So just a quick run through on example 33. All they're doing here is getting to a point where they've factorised it and then using the zero product theorem. So if x minus 1 is a factor and it equals 0, then 1 is one of the zeros. They've factorised it by splitting the linear term, but you can factorise it however you like. For this example 34, where they're using a sign table, what they've done is they've factorised the cubic into its three roots. And then the three roots, or the three factors, I suppose, give us the three zeros. So x plus 2 means there's a 0 at negative 2. X minus 1 means there's a 0 at 1. X plus 3 means there's a 0 at negative 3. So in the book, what they're doing is they're evaluating x plus 3 in each of the intervals. Now the intervals they've written down are wrong. This one should be negative infinity to negative 3 because that's the first root, but not including negative 3. Then negative 3 is the root and that should give you 0. Then they're plugging in a value between negative 3 and negative 2, then negative 2 because that's a root, negative 2 and negative 1, 1 because that's a root, and then 1 up to infinity. When you plug in values in these intervals, for x plus 3, you get that it's negative in the interval negative infinity to negative 3, that should be, and that it's 0 at negative 3, which is what we would expect, and then positive for the rest of them. For x plus 2, we get negative, 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 0 at negative 2, which makes sense because that's the root, and then positive, positive, positive. And then for x minus 1, we get negative all the way up to its 0, and then we get positive. Then that means for the entire cubic, we multiply all of the signs together. So here we've got negative times negative gives us positive, times negative again means that it is negative. So between negative infinity and negative 3, the graph will be negative, so it'll be below the x-axis. Then for this column, we've got 0 times negative times negative. Well, 0 wins, so it's just going to be 0 at negative 3, which is that point there. For between negative 3 and negative 2, we've got positive times negative, which gives us a positive again, so it's above the x-axis. And then at negative 2, we've got a 0 here, so it will be 0 again. Between negative 2 and positive 1, we've got positive, positive, negative, so overall that's negative, so it's below the x-axis. At 1, we've got a 0, so it crosses the x-axis again. And then finally, between 1 and infinity, they're all positive, so it's positive, which means it's above the x-axis.